I got a chess piece on my head. Man, what are you talking about? Oh. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I did have a chess king on my head, man. It crept up on me, bro. Anyways, man, I went ahead and grabbed another one of the games from the SuperUnited Blitz and Rapid from Croatia. This is round number 4 of the Rapid section, and this is Šarić versus Wesley So. So all of my people that are coming from the Philippines, I will say maraming salamat. I appreciate you for watching. Anybody who is coming from Croatia, I will say havala. I appreciate you guys very much. But if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look and see what we got for this game, son. All right, man. So we got the move E4, best by test. We got E5. We got knight to F3. We got knight C6. And then we do have D4. I know a lot of the times you see bishop to B5. But this is definitely one of the other thematic moves. It's kind of similar to like a Sicilian where you got like D4, pawn takes, and knight takes. You're getting the knight centralized. We do see D4, pawn takes D4, and then we do see knight taking D4. And then we have what is known as the Schmidt variation, knight to F6. Super logical. You're just like, hey, bro, you got this pawn hanging in the center of the board, right? Let me go ahead and attack it. You do have many other options. One of the good things about openings, kind of super in the early stages of it, you do have a lot of options until it kind of starts getting sharp. So you kind of can just decide how you want to go about playing the game. You got like bishop to C5 is a possibility. You got queen going to F6. That's another possibility. You know, just kind of all centered around either double hitting this knight, asking it what it wants to do, you know, or just kind of, you know, threatening the pawn here in the center of the board. You got queen to H4 as another possibility because you're hoping that maybe white falls asleep and they're like, hey, man, I forgot that I got an E4 pawn hanging in the middle of the board. You also have some bishop to B4 type situations coming up. You really can't block with either of these because the knight is going to drop and you're going to be sad. So don't get sad. But like I said, we do see knight to F6, and this is the Schmidt variation. Very straightforward. You're just like, hey, bro, I'm hitting this pawn in the center of the board. What do you want to do? So we do see Šarić go ahead and take knight takes C6 right here. We got pawn taking C6. And some of you guys might be wondering, I know usually when you do like an exchange variation, you know, you take D takes C6. You know, you do have some ideas of playing D5 and correcting your pawn chain and just adding extra attackers to the pawn here on E4. So that is why we go pawn takes C6. From the B file instead of the D file. We do see bishop to D3. We got D5 going through with the plan that I mentioned before. And then we do see pawn taking D5. Some of you guys might be like, man, why am I helping black fix their structure? Like, isn't it better to kind of like, you know, make them take and then they got double pawns on the C file? Well, the thing that you have to be paying attention to, one of the things is the fact that black has double bishops. So opening the position is pretty beneficial for them. It can be for you too, but it's definitely not bad for them. But also if you decide, hey man, I'm not going to help you, I'm going to go ahead and let's say I just do something like knight to C3 or something like that. You could be looking at bishop coming to B4. And you see that the pressure is just severely mounting on E4. You definitely don't want to see that or that because you're going to be maybe losing your knight. So, you know, that's kind of some stuff that you have to pay attention to when you play E4, that you are going to be tactically attacked pretty much at the beginning of the game. It's pretty crazy. So we do see pawn taking D5 in this position here. We got pawn taking D5. We got castles by white. We got bishop going to E7. We see the move C4. It's generally beneficial, you guys hear me say this all the time, to push the C pawn before you push knight out in front of it. It depends on your opening. It kind of depends on the theory. It depends on, you know, kind of what's strong or what's not. But this is definitely going to be something that's more generally strong. So we do see castles by black. And then we do see the move knight to C3. Now, this was not what was played in the game. But I wanted to go back and show you a variation. It has a very legitimate idea behind it. Something that you definitely want to look out for in your own games. Let's say, for example, black decided, hey, man, I'm going to kind of go a Benoni approach as black. Instead of just taking here or castling, I'm going to go ahead and push the pawn. I got C3 taken away from your knight. You would be looking at this really, really cute B4 move, and this is a baiting move. It looks very delicious as black. You're like, hey, man, that's just a pawn, right? Absolutely not. It's not a pawn. You'd be looking at bishop takes B4, and then queen goes to A4 with check. And the problem that you have in this position is that you do not have a knight to C6 blocking, defending this bishop. So this bishop is going to drop on the next move. So this kind of centers around, you know, having undefended pieces somewhere on the board, especially also too, you have like your structure is badly damaged and this knight is not over here. So even if you did play knight to C6 in this position, it would be taken like this. and you'd be losing your knight anyway. So you're losing a piece in this particular structure. So you want to be careful about that. But like I said, this is something worth noting. It's just one of the tactics that you come across in some different openings. Because bishop to b4, basically these bishops trying to pin down knights on these squares sometimes can come back to bite you. But like I said, we did see castles. We got the move knight to c3. We got bishop to e6, just kind of sidestepping all of that. We do see pawn taking d5, knight taking d5, knight taking d5, bishop taking d5. Then we do see queen to c2. And we're like, hey, bro, you know what? Let's see how much black cares about their position. And then we do see the move g6. And this is the novelty of the game. The crazy thing about it is, I mean, we have 3 games in the database right here, and they basically all go h6. Which is logical also. I mean, you're not really worried about a check right here because you're just going to slide over king to h8 and you're good to go. But g6 is, you know, a good move as well. So it's kind of interesting, you know, how this was not a move that we have seen at any point in time in the past. So we do see bishop going to h6, just tickling that rook on f8. We do see rook to e8, and this is kind of where you want the rook anyway. So bishop to h6 doesn't really inconvenience you too much. We do see rook a to d1, tickling the pawn that we have on, or actually, no, not tickling, because I'm thinking rook to c1. Rook to d1. If you did go rook to c1, you would be tickling this pawn, but c6 takes care of that. That's what I was thinking. But when you do put rook over here, you are putting it opposite the queen, and that is never a bad idea. Putting a rook, even if you're looking through all of these pieces, at some point these pieces can kind of go away, and you might have an attack on the queen. It's also very legitimate if the king was right here, stuff like that. So never underestimate the power of that type of a move. We do see bishop to d6. We got the move f4. We got c6, just solidifying the bishop over here. We do see queen going up to c3. And basically, if you're white, you're thinking, man, checkmate on g7. Like if you're going down the slide, exactly. No. Wesley So is not about that life. He's like, bro, you know what? I see what you're trying to do, man. I see this right here, bro. What's going on? So we do see bishop going back to f8. And this is a beneficial trade. After we see bishop taking f8, we do see rook taking f8. You could have took with the king. It was probably, you know, one of the better moves also. But one of the most important things about it is you have traded dark square bishops, and neither side has a knight. So sometimes you do want to be careful when you have this kind of a color complex around your king. If you trade off that dark bishop in front of your king, because it is one of the best defenders of that structure. If the opposite, if your opponent does still have their knight, because sometimes you can see queens coming somewhere over here and then a knight jumping on the g5. And sometimes it's impossible for you to defend against. You have to give up your queen type stuff. So that is not what we want to see. So we do see the move b3, just making sure we shut anything down on the b file, because this is where this rook would like to go. We got rook over to e8. We do see bishop to c4. Queen goes to b6 with check. And that is one of the benefits of moving the c-pawn, is that you have like queen a5, queen b6's type of situations. The king goes over to h1, and then we do see queen to c5. And this bishop is now currently pinned because you cannot take it, because then your queen will go bye-bye and you will be very, very sad. If you've never dropped your queen before, which I don't think anybody out there has not, you know what I'm talking about. That is a really terrible feeling when you just drop your queen out of the clear blue sky. We do see the move f5, and then we see rook down to e2. And it might look kind of strange, I mean, but like I just got done saying, the queen is pinned, this bishop is pinned, so you can't take here, which would be lovely because your queen would be hanging. So that's not an even trade. So do not do that. But we have actually reached a position that if you want to pause the video, there is a really, really nice, cute little move that we can make here if you are Šarić. So if you want to try to guess what move he made, go ahead and do so. Okay, cool. So this is, it kind of takes a little bit of calculation for you to do this move because I don't think it's like the most obvious move that somebody can make, but it's by far like the best move in the position, and it is rook takes d5. There, like I said, you got to kind of calculate a couple of moves to see and make sure this works, because it doesn't really work on the surface because you have kind of a couple of problems as white, but I will show you exactly why it works. You are looking at pawn takes d5, of course, and then you have pawn takes g6. But it might kind of look like, wait a minute, I'm just throwing away a piece, right? I'm just throwing away the bishop right here, right? Absolutely, you are not throwing away that bishop at all. You really, if you're black, you need to take here, because if you do not, this is not happening in the game. Pawn did not take c4, the bishop here, but I will go into this variation to kind of illustrate to you exactly why this is a terrible, terrible idea. If we did see pawn takes c4 and you're celebrating, you're like, hey man, everything is great. I love this game. Chess is so just wonderful. You would be really, really sad after you went pawn takes h7 because the problem is you only have this move to make. You really, really can't take this here because you got rook taking and then that is going to be checkmate coming up. So you would have to be sliding over to f8 and you would kind of think maybe I avoided everything, right? You absolutely did not avoid everything because queen to f6 is threatening checkmate here. And you can't deal with that because you would be looking at pawn queens on h8 and that is checkmate there. So what do? You know what the computer wants you to do? This. It's like, bro, throw your queen away. You know that when you start throwing queens away, that's not where you want to be, man. So, yes, you kind of pick your checkmate previous move. So after we saw pawn takes g6, Wesley So did think better and he went ahead and went h take g6. And then we have this really beautiful move, queen to f3. And not only is this hitting this rook right here, it's hitting this pawn. It is actually pinning down this pawn right here because you cannot take here because you would be looking at queen taking h8 with check. And this really just kind of evens everything up. But it looks very spectacular, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like this is the greatest move since sliced bread? Exactly, it does. But we did not see that. We just see the rook defending itself to e7. We do see bishop taking on d5. And, I mean, both players have basically the same pieces. You got white with an extra pawn, but you have black with the rook pair. But it's crazy because the computer still says, hey, man, I'm not impressed. It's triple zeros, man. Like, what are we doing here? This is like not even a chess game, right? So we do see a rook sliding over to f8. We got queen up to f6. And we do have a very serious threat of queen to taking g6 with check. And it's not like it just wins the game, but it does definitely complicate the situation just a little bit because this pawn is pinned to this king right here. So you definitely don't want to drop that. So we do see king going to h7. We got queen down to h4. And then we see some repetitions going on in the position. And it is in this position that the players agree to it. They don't agree to a draw, but it's a draw because it's threefold repetition. So I think somebody rose their hand. They were like, hey, man, it's a draw right here, right? So I think it was a somewhat interesting game. I mean, I think that for a draw, this definitely had a little bit more excitement than just your average everyday draw. You know, it had a lot of tactics and a lot of kind of like traps and tricks and things like that in it. So, you know, you definitely had to tread lightly if you were both of these players. So Malacca see both of them in this one. So like I said, all of my people that are coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay, magandang umaga, because it is 4:42 a.m. over there. Anybody who is coming from Croatia, I will say zdravo, havala. I appreciate you guys very much, and I'm going to see y'all next time.